Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, hoping all of our viewers and our listeners and our great ITB crowd has had a happy holidays this week. It's been happy for us. Maybe not so much for the Eagles, Adam, as they're dealing with some uncertainty at the quarterback position because of Jalen Hurts' concussion. However, they do welcome the Dallas Cowboys this week, and that is a team that, while they've won 4 or 5, they are beat up themselves. So we'll get into their injury situation. We'll talk about the Eagles coming now off this loss from Washington, really get into the injuries and what to look for as we get closer to the end of the week. But Adam, I do want to bring to light something that I thought was important for those who have caught or listened to or viewed our show with Greg Cosell, Inside the Tape. For those who can be, very impulsive after losses or worry about the sky is falling and really want to hear what someone who breaks down the tape has to say from it, I think they'd be encouraged because Greg basically laid it out that, yes, the Eagles lost, but he couldn't find like a bunch of things that he thought were just ominous signs for the Eagles. It was just basically a loss. So when Greg says, hey, look, I didn't think this guy played bad or this guy played bad, he said the offensive line didn't have a great game. We know that. Defense in the low red zone wasn't great. We know that. Jaden Daniels was tough to stop, but there was nothing that Greg thought was alarming, which was sort of in line with you and I. Sometimes you just lose a game.
Yeah, it's funny. That was my reaction just when we did our post-game show. There wasn't anything alarming. They gave up some plays. He just got beat.
Yeah.
What we didn't know is Greg, again, we don't really talk to Greg before we tape it. We talk to him when we're taping it. And he said he was surprised. He had not seen the Eagles offensive line get handled like this. That was the one. Now, again,
Yep, that was the surprise. Yeah.
That not only was a surprise, there's nothing to worry about.
Right.
But it's something to keep an eye on because as great as Lane Johnson is, he's had such this high level of production of almost perfection. You're surprised when he doesn't have a good play. So when Greg said, I think he said did he whiff on two?
Yeah, he said he just whiffed on a couple of blocks that he couldn't remember the last time seeing Lane Johnson whiff on a block.
So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. In this game, we'll have to see if Dallas could present anything.
Mm-hmm.
But although I know they've been playing better defensively with Mike Zimmer and our friend Paul Gunther, they're getting their defense together for what they can do with so many players been hurt in their front seven and also in their secondary. But that was the only thing that the one takeaway was like, okay, let's keep an eye on this offensive line, which is elite, but anyone could have a bad game.
Right.
But I want to keep an eye on this the rest of the season because they've had a couple of moments, and they had a couple against Pittsburgh, which you expect. But you just want to keep an eye on is there any crack in the armor, so to speak? Is there anything where you could say, okay, that's an issue. We'll keep an eye on the offensive line.
You know what? I definitely remember last year there were a couple of games or moments in games where we felt the same thing, where the offensive line did not look like its normal self. The Jets game, which they lost. It was their only loss in the first 11 games, right? Weren't they 10-1 last year? And that was their only loss. And that one stuck out as a game where you and I were like, wow, that was really surprising the way guys like Jermaine Johnson, is it?
He
brought it. Yeah, Bryce Huff brought it to him. McDonald might have played in that game. But just overall, the offensive line didn't look like itself. But then they were right back to being the Eagles offensive line a week later or 2 weeks later. It's nothing we've seen yet that you've seen. I've seen 2 weeks in a row where this offensive line was not itself. So not a concern, but just something to watch.
2.5. It's funny. You go back to that game. It's so odd you mentioned this game because it's just funny how things work out. So who are the guys who had all the sacks, or most of them?
Mm-hmm.
So the only sacks that the Jets had were the aforementioned Bryce Huff with 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Reddick had the new Jet, Hassan Reddick, for the Eagles had 2.5 sacks. It's just funny how you mentioned both of those players.
That is funny.
Yeah.
What a year it's been for both.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Quite eventful for different reasons, but that would be it. Look, Quignon, I think Greg did a good job of explaining it. He was thinking based on formation that the pass was going to be an inbreaker, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he guessed wrong, and this happens. There's nothing to worry about there. That was our whole point about this as we move forward. There's nothing like alarming because what happens with teams is, and by the way, they should have won the game. Hurts got hurt early. Let's not forget about that. there's nothing like, oh my God, they found the kryptonite, you know. So
Yeah.
I think what happens sometimes when you're not expecting something that happens, you're, oh, there's a problem here. There's really nothing. There was nothing like, oh God, there's nothing like that.
Right. Nothing big. All right. So we'll talk about the injuries later also in the show. Want to thank everybody who's been contributing this week as usual on the platform. Derek Gunn did a great gun on one with Rob Ellis. I love Rob
Yeah,
Ellis. Great guy. I used to work with him and he's a fantastic human being and it
wonderful
was a
guy.
good show. Of course, Greg Cosell with Inside the Tape. We've had Q&A this week. Andrew DeCecco has done a yeoman's work for InsideTheBirds.com. Now, just for our listeners, it's very, very, very unlikely that there will be a rookie diary with Will Shipley this week because Will, as we record this, is in the concussion protocol. So I don't know if they're going to let him talk to. They usually don't let guys talk to the media, and we don't know when he's going to be able to clear, if at all, this week. So probably no
Correct.
rookie diary, but everything else will be the same.
Okay. So yeah,
Well,
it was,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. And then I was going to move on and also say, we wanted to express our remorse for the passing of former Eagle linebacker Bill Berge, who, Adam, he passed at the age of 79. Anybody, I'm not old enough to see him play. You
I
may
did.
have seen
Yeah.
him.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to. If you've spent any time in the NovaCare complex, you've heard great stories about Bill Berge. And then I was, as you know, started my Eagles coverage career working for the News Journal. I believe Bill Berge was living in the Wilmington area.
Hmm.
Um, and I people would say they've seen Bill and he was a great guy in the Delaware community and everything like that. So we just wanted to express our remorse.
Definitely. Our condolences to the Berge family. Jake, I know I met his son, Jake, who played for
Hmm.
the Philadelphia Wings, the lacrosse team. Met
Right.
Jake a couple years ago at a golf event. Bill, wonderfully nice guy, passionate. If you've ever been around him socially, I was around him a couple times. He wears hard on his sleeve. A really kind human being, and for those of us who grew up in the area, if you're over 50 like me, so it was Dr. J for the Sixers, number 6. It was Bobby Clark, number 16. Phillies Schmitty, number 20. And Jaws number 7 and Bill Berge number 66. So those were the numbers that everyone has their favorite numbers, I'm sure. I get
Mhm.
it if you grew up in this area, but it was Bill Berge whose career ended. His last year was on the Super Bowl team in 80. He suffered a devastating knee injury. I believe it was the year before in 79 at the Superdome in New Orleans, I believe, where the site of the Super Bowl would be the next year.
Mhm.
He had ended his career early, but just a kind man. And by the way, he was part of the broadcast team with Mel Reese for a number of years.
Oh, that's right. There you go. So, the Eagles family obviously loses a cherished edition of it. So, our condolences again to Bill Berge's family. All right, Adam, you know that the holidays are a time for families to get together, people to see each other again. And when they do that, they love to go out and see live events. It could be a concert, it could be a show, and of course, it could be a sporting event. Well, Game Time, our favorite ticketing app, is focused on togetherness this holiday season. And that means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is so much better. It is the perfect gift. All right. Game Time has a feature that we've been talking about called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier because it filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. In fact, I've been on the Game Time app myself looking at some concerts that I've been maybe thinking about taking the wife to, Adam. I haven't decided yet, but I did see a bunch of really good entertainers coming. And of course, it's so easy to find the row you want to sit in. You can see the view from your seat right there on the app. And it really just takes a few taps with your thumb to get exactly what you want and the price that you're looking for. So that is the Game Time Picks feature. Their super deal, their amazing deal. They've got several tiers of great deals for you to capitalize on. And not to mention that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. That includes event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code BIRDS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BIRDS, BIRDS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. As for the team, a couple of moves this week. Kevin Folch, we hardly knew ye again. He gets released from the practice squad, the tight end from New Haven. And Tariq Castro Fields also released from the practice squad as the team adds two familiar faces. Quarterback Ian Book, who was with the team for a stint there in 2022, and then I think he was in that camp of 2023. And then Lou Nichols, the running back who from Boise State, who has also been with the team on the practice squad. Everybody's had been wondering, why did they get Ian? Well, you need a third
Yeah.
quarterback. I mean, if Jalen Hurts can't play, you've got Kenny Pickett, you have backup McKee. And as everyone learned many years ago in the NFC Championship game, when the 49ers lost Brock Purdy and then had to go to Josh Johnson, and then he got hurt, but didn't have an emergency QB because the rule had not been remodified again. You need three. You want to have an emergency quarterback. I mean, it's an emergency anyway if Ian Book has to play for the Eagles, but the point is you need another body there.
Yeah, and look, I know he's new to this offense, but Sirianni knows him. There's a trust level. He wound up not beating out Tanner McKee last year, and he did not have a good preseason. And the thing with him is the book on Ian Book, pun intended, sort of, pretty athletic, pretty smart, really good for the quarterback room, we were told. But boy, when he got into those preseason games, he did not look good. Because their hope was maybe he could be able to push for the number 2 quarterback job over a series of years, but it never happened. Remember, they got him from New Orleans.
Yep.
And he was a draftee out of Notre Dame. And by the way, Fulch was re-signed last week, and as you mentioned, he was just released this week. And was Lou Nichols anywhere? I don't even other than the Eagles.
I was looking for it. I couldn't see that he was anywhere.
It's kind of weird. Like Ian Book was cut. The Chiefs had him in the preseason. Then all of a sudden, the Eagles bring him in for a physical on Wednesday on Christmas Day. He passes it. He's practicing on Thursday. It's just bizarre. And Tariq Castro Fields is a corner. So they now have Ty Davis Price and Lou Nichols, who's been with them before on the practice squad.
Yeah, there you go. To your point, it was very hard. You're not supposed to do this comparison thing, but it was hard last year, meaning 2023 in the preseason, not to notice the level of offensive execution from when Ian Book would be in the, running it, and then Tanner McKee would come in and run it. You remember how they would look really just ugly offensively, and then Tanner McKee would come in and he would just start dealing. He would just start throwing at guys that like Tyree Cleveland and who's the guy they picked up for the Kevin something for the last preseason game, and next thing you know, he's throwing like in between defenders to this guy. You remember what I'm talking about?
Wait,
I think there's a West Virginia wide receiver that they picked up for the final preseason game, and Tanner McKee was just nailing him left and right. Something like Kevin Watson or something. I don't know.
I remember, yes, and I remember saying, "Well, he definitely won't be on the team because this was just."
Yeah,
you just wanted to get him in there.
Right.
Yeah.
They needed a receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. For a second, because you said West Virginia was like, it can't be Kevin White. It wasn't Kevin White.
No, not that guy. I forget.
He was still, by the way, he was still hanging in there as of last year, the former first-round pick of the Bears.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, it was hard not to notice how much more advanced Tanner McKee looked than Ian Book. And Ian Book was already in year 3 or 4 at this point of being in the NFL. So, yeah. So anyway, Ian Book is back and Lou Nichols is back there on the practice squad. And that's about it. We'll get into the injuries presented by our friends at Stretch Zone. Sign up for your free 30-minute stretch at stretchzone.com. I think it's always, before we get into the obvious injuries, we should always start with the pop-ups, if there are any, or the guys who are not on the injury report, Adam, because at this time of the year, it's almost better when you start to see names who were on it or resting and making sure they're at practice.
So basically, what's interesting, Geoff, is that on Wednesday, and yes, they didn't even have a walkthrough. They didn't do anything. Eagles didn't list A.J. Brown with that knee issue that he's had for a couple weeks. So I think I was optimistic that he wouldn't be listed with it on Thursday. Well, wouldn't you know it, he and Josh Sweat were added with not just rest because they rested on Wednesday. They didn't practice or do anything. They added their old injury. Now, the Sweat injury was the one that made him miss a number of snaps, over 30 snaps in the game with the ankle. But the good news is they had a couple guys off of the injury report. Devontae Smith with a back injury. Landon Dickerson, remember, he had that knee issue. There was some concern earlier in the week. He exited the injury report, and that's good because with Landon Dickerson, as we know, he has these injuries. He leaves games sometimes early. But the good thing is he's off the injury report. Of course, Sidney Brown with a concussion came through very, very well. Looking at the rest of their injury report from last week, that's pretty much it. Now we do know about Nakobe Dean because he did miss the game. That injury now turns out to be an abdomen, and he did get some work in on Thursday. On it this week, obviously, is Hurts with a concussion, Kenny Pickett with the ribs, Will Shipley with concussion, Britton Covey with the neck. Sirianni was asked about it, kind of why he's not playing when he practiced fully last week, and about the competitive advantage, or whatever the case may be. Nick doesn't like to give up injury information like he used to. But the bottom line is that it's like if he's cleared to play, why wouldn't you have him return punts over Cooper DeJean? Because
Right.
Covey was the best punt returner last year. That's something it's a coaching decision. And don't forget, like Covey looked good. He had a really good training camp as a slot receiver. So I don't know. I'm not sure why that they we're not going to know yet because he hadn't played yet. So, but he also, when you have a neck injury, even if you're practicing, you have to get cleared to be able to get hit there. You have to get clear for contact. That also plays into it. Now we know what the injury was with Nakobe Dean. It's an abdomen injury, and he was working on Thursday, so that's a good sign. And then Bryce Huff, who didn't have a broken wrist, he had ligament surgery, and with a ligament, you have to get the functional strength back, which he did say he had last week. But Fangio gave out the information. He was doing stuff with the scout team. He wasn't really doing very much. It was his first week back testing it. So the hope is here now that he actually get clear to play and just get in the rotation and give them some snaps off the bench.
Yeah, they need that. I really do think that even though they've survived and done well without it, although we did talk about the Commanders game and them not really getting a whole lot of edge pressure, and we don't know what to expect from Bryce Huff. It's not like he's knocked it out of the park this year, but I just think fresh legs, another body, and a guy who does have a resume. It's not like, again, I think some people talk about Bryce Huff as if he's, I don't want to insult anybody else, but as he's like a nobody, right? But he wasn't living up to expectations, but there were
Sure.
some things he was starting to do a little bit better before he got hurt. So, it's never a bad thing to have a guy like that into your rotation, and if you can get something out of him, you're even better. Back to the quarterback situation, Pickett did speak to the reporters after Thursday's practice, and he did say he took the first team reps. And he did say he was wearing some cushion there for his ribs, and that's about as far as he would talk about anything there. But I mean, at this point, it just becomes: does Hurts get cleared from the concussion protocol in time to play? If he does, I still imagine he would play. If he doesn't, Kenny Pickett's the guy.
All right, so the way it'll work is that today is Friday. So if Hurts can get out there and actually be limited, then he's got a chance. If he doesn't practice, he wouldn't be able to play because you wouldn't be far enough in the protocol.
Correct.
And that's so he's got to get out there today, and he hasn't done anything. He has not practiced yet, so he's got to get out there and do something to get the limited tag, because that tells you he's probably around step number 4.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't, forget it. And Kenny Pickett took the ones on Thursday. And see, the thing is, and I know we discussed this earlier this week. The Devontae Smith drop. We're not excusing it. You can't drop something when you're wide open. But the key here with Kenny Pickett is with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Grant Calcaterra is to get on the same page. Where do they like the football? They have to see the spin come out of his hands. It's different than Hurts. Hurts has a harder ball. He throws a heavier ball. That takes something to get used to over a series of weeks and months and years. You get used to it. You know exactly where it is. You know how it's going to come in. With Pickett, you just don't know that. And you got to see how it comes out. And they'll get that because he's getting to work with the one. So that's just something to watch for Sunday. If it goes like looks like right now that Pickett would be the guy, but we got to get through one more day of practice. See, the other thing is, I know talking to coaches over the years, they don't like it. Like I know that the concussion's different, but let's say it was an ankle injury and he didn't practice. But what if he went for the walkthrough on Saturday? I know coaches I've talked to before who will tell me, you know what, we had a really heavy we had a jog through. The quarterback looked really good. You know what? We're going to clear. We're going to play him because he looked good. He looked like he had it. And then some coaches say, nope, he's got to take real reps and a real practice at full speed. This is not the same thing. So I'm interested to see what happens if somehow Hurts could get on the practice today. So we'll have to see what happens. But Shipley, by the way, he's very important to special teams because he's really fast.
Yes, very fast.
Huh?
I hope he's okay because he took
Yeah,
a really, really big
he
hit.
did.
I remember seeing it when it happened because I had to be like, who is 28 again? I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, Shipley. And the reason why I thought that was because I think I don't want to, it wasn't an illegal block, but I don't think his head was looking in a direction the hit was coming. And he really, anybody who's ever been hit and not expected it knows that it feels 10 times harder than when you're bracing or expecting it. And he really got laid out on that. So hopefully he is okay.
By the way, they ruled him out. Like it took them a little while to rule out Hurts.
Right.
Actually, it took them several minutes. And then with Shipley, he was ruled out very quickly.
Yeah.
So on your point, let's hope Will's doing okay. That was scary, to be honest with you. That was troublesome. And look, and then they signed Lou Nichols. They brought him back um to the team. So that may tell you something. We'll just have
Right.
to see.
Right. All right. So those were the Eagles injuries presented again by our friends at Stretch Zone. Now, Adam bought a bunch of gift cards from Stretch Zone. You know that in the day, first of all, Hanukkah is still going on, right?
Yep.
8 crazy nights, as Adam Sandler likes to say. And there's a ton of people who have to do their after Christmas gift exchange, like with the friends that they haven't met up with yet. You're past your family and everything. Now it's after Christmas and you still have to get gifts. Stretch Zone, perfect gift card.
By the way, I ate like crap on Wednesday, and I'm so pissed off. So and when I played tennis on Thursday, I was so bad because I didn't hydrate well enough, and I didn't. It's 3 days after my last stretch, so I was like, all right. So I went Thursday night and got stretched. It's just amazing how different you feel. It's the gift that never stops giving. Getting stretched. It's one of these things I wish I would have done earlier in my life. I didn't, and it's been a game changer for me. And I know for you as a runner, I know it really helps you. And I know you've told me. In fact, you know what? I don't play pickleball. One of these days, I got to play with you. I'm very curious to see
I,
how well
I
you
don't
play.
want you to confuse me with some kind of guy who's out on the pickleball court every week
Okay.
or anything like that. I just started playing it because they built courts in my
Uh,
development over the summer,
okay.
and I liked it. And I'm fun. Yeah, it's because you've mentioned this a couple of times. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna let him run with this. But yeah, I'm no advanced pickleball player. I'm
You
not also
know.
not a pickleball bro. Like gotta go out and play pickleball every
Yeah,
single.
yeah, yeah. You know what? By the way, do you wear a headband? What do you wear? You just
No, no, I don't
okay.
wear
You're
it.
not one of those.
I
I don't
do.
either.
When I
Did-
run, I wear if it's sort of like a Reebok skull cap or in
okay.
the winter
Oh,
a hat
okay.
because
Nice.
I get a lot of I'm a very sweaty human being. I sweat probably 3 times more than most people in my frame. So I don't wear a headband because I hate them, but I'll wear a hat when I run. But
See,
not a baseball hat. I can't do sports in a baseball hat
um,
unless it's like golf.
but what do you do in the summer? Because like for tennis, when it's really hot out, it's not safe. So I'll put a
Yeah,
hat
I
on,
just
push them out like
so I'll wear that thin mesh dry fit like skull cap
yeah.
or I'll just deal with it. I don't, but
Okay.
I can't wear a knit hat or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's not.
So I wear a sweatband on my left arm. That's it. Yeah. I wear thin socks. I don't like heavy socks, man. I like to be able to move.
Same.
But getting back to stretch on. So with the thing that I did this week, because I had not done it in a while, is I worked on my back as well. I cannot tell
Mhm.
you how much better it feels. For those of us who sit a lot, you and I are typing a lot, whether it's texting or writing, whatever the case may be. I mean, because if you're sitting down a lot or you have a IT job or if you sit down a lot at work or you work from home, you got to get your back done, man. If when you sign up at Stretch Zone for your free 30-minute stretch, what I would for the beginning stretch, the first one, I would get my hips done, my hamstrings done, my back done, and if you have any issues with your upper body, obviously get your shoulders done. Those are easy in 30 minutes. Like get 3 or 4 things done, and then if you become a member, which we know a number of people have signed up for membership, I like to work on something different each time that I go, and I go twice a week, by the way.
Right. Right. And that's the best way to do it. Getting all areas of your body stretched out. That
Mhm.
is the best way. So again, get your free 30-minute stretch by signing up at Stretch Zone 12, stretchzone.com, 12 locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Tell them where you can get it, Adam.
Haverford near Suburban Square, where I've been
Hmm.
many times. Devon near Whole Foods. Exton in the Whiteland Town Center. We'll see my guy Austin, Nick, Emily, or Madison. You see me there. I know John Kincaid from 97.5 The Fanatic goes there. South Philly near Graduate Hospital. I know Dave Spadauer with the Eagles goes there. Montgomery County, Elkins Park, where I grew up, in Cheltenham area. Upper Dublin, Dresher, and the Promenade. at Upper Dublin off 611 near my old stomping grounds. Going up 611, Feasterville near Lower Southampton Village, New Jersey, near you, and Cherry Hill and Evesham Road, Mount Laurel. We got to get Costello in there. That's the next thing is we got to. I want to hear what Greg says after he goes there, because Greg is working out. What is he? How many days a week?
He says 5 to 6, right?
I
Or every
can't
day but
believe
one
that.
day. Yeah.
I know he was a college athlete, but wow, he did say
Yeah.
he's lost a lot of weight. Good for him.
Yes, he looks good.
Yep. We'll send him to Mount Laurel and Centerton Square near the Wegmans. I love that Wegmans there. By the way, Franklin Lakes, Franklin Ave, Northfield, Tilton Road, and Princeton, Nassau Park, Pavilion, stretchzone.com.
You are so good at this now. Like this repeating, like where are all the locations? It's like right off the top of your head. You're so good. You almost sound like the traffic reporter at a news radio station.
The
Westbound,
traffic.
Schuylkill, North Blue Route North. We got 95 jam.
You know
South.
why? Because I've been to Haverford, I've been to Devon, I've been to Exton, South Philly. I know where that is.
Yeah.
The Graduate Hospital, Montgomery County. I grew up in Montgomery County. For those of you who went to Cheltenham High or know it, it was 305 for snow days. Like I don't know how I remember that, but 305. Feasterville, Upper Dublin. Gosh, they were in the suburban one. They were I was on the golf team in high school, so I remember we used to play those. Upper Dublin, and then Cherry Hill, of course, where you are.
Hmm.
Mount Laurel, across from NFL Films, where I, heck, watching tape with Jaws and Greg for years. And Franklin Lakes, I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is?
Yeah. Franklin Lakes is in Northwest New Jersey, up in
Yeah.
Morris County. It's
Okay.
a pretty nice area as far as like tax brackets are concerned.
Ah, yes.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Phil Simms was living in that kind of vicinity in
Ah.
his post Giants career when he was doing what Monday Night Football or Sunday. I forget what he was doing. Did Phil Simms do Monday or Sunday night? I can't remember
I,
anymore.
I I don't remember,
I
but
think it
he's
was
up and
Sunday
doing
night
games
before
at CBS.
Collinsworth, right? Yeah, CBS or whatever it was. But either way,
Yes.
yeah, it's a very nice area of
Yep.
Northwest Jersey. Yeah.
Yep. So check out our friends at stretchzone.com. Folks, you'll feel better. That's the number one key. You're going to feel better. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The Cowboys not feeling so good, Adam, because they've got some injuries and including a late breaking one. Go ahead, give them the news.
This is big. It's interesting with CeeDee Lamb, who will not play again this season. So he has an AC joint sprain.
Hmm.
It's typically an injury that's nagging, but receivers and offensive linemen play through it with a harness, and they go through some soreness and some pain. Jerry Jones, who does a radio spot on, I think it's 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, if I have it correctly.
I believe you're right.
Jerry will set it on his. He goes. He gives CeeDee Lamb a ton of credit for playing through the pain. He said he's going to continue to play with it. Well, they decide to shut him down. It's too much pain. He's not expected to have surgery, but he will not play. That is major. That to me, look, AJ Brown's a better football player, but CeeDee Lamb puts up massive numbers. He is their pass game. It all goes through him. So I feel bad for the people in fantasy championships. You were looking, but he's had some great games. So the line after it got announced went from 6.5 to 7.
That's
By the way,
it.
I know, and I wonder if it'll go. But here's why: because the Hurts news isn't final yet. It went from 8.5 to 6.5 because most people think Hurts won't play, but it's not official yet.
I know, but I look at it as how is Dallas going to score points? I mean, it's not even about
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett. It's how is Dallas going to move the
it's
ball
gonna
and
be
score
hard.
points against this Eagles
I
defense.
know. So let's move this along here. So Jalen Tolbert,
Uh-huh.
who from South Alabama, was really had a breakout season as their third receiver. He finally started playing well. He's
Yep.
really doing a good job.
Had a
You
touchdown last week, I believe.
Okay. Cooper Rush is still a quarterback who's really playing much better. He was terrible against the Eagles. I mean, really, he looked like he'd never played before. That's how bad he was.
Oh,
But he's playing better for Prescott, who's done with the right hamstring surgery. Zach Martin, who had ankle surgery. Brock Hoffman. See, this is where matchups. We'll talk to Greg about it for the
mhm.
pregame show on Sunday. I'm surprised that teams have not been able to expose their offensive line. Like Chuma Doga, who's not a bad backup left tackle, right tackle, who's been starting lately for Tyler Guyton.
Yeah.
I know Guyton had a number of injuries, and then last week Guyton was fine, but they didn't start him. He came in late in the game.
Hmm.
I don't understand. We have to ask Greg what Guyton's tapes look like because that surprised me. It doesn't make much sense to me. But so I got to think the Eagles are going to have some really good matchups here.
All right, before we get into Dallas's defensive injuries, we're going to pause for a minute and hear a word from our great friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter makes sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
And if you hop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You'll get a great deal. They have wonderful customer service. If you can't make it in, that's okay. Go to SkyMotorCars.com. Take advantage of looking at all their great inventory, whether you're buying or you're looking to sell your own car or trade in a car. They do it all. They're a wonderful partners of Inside the Birds. So again, Sky Motor Cars or SkyMotorCars.com.
By the way, my wife and I, we sold 2 cars through Brett Schulter and his company. So that was great. It was just a pleasure to deal with. So please support them, SkyMotorCars.com. All right, so defensively. So we talked about this in the last show. DeMarcus Tank Lawrence, he's got a midfoot sprain. You're always worried when it's midfoot that it's Liz Frank, which is, 9 to 12-month rehab, but they've not said it's that bad. But he's not playing, so Chauncey Golston will still start for him. And the next one's big because he's here because Eric Kendricks is with the Cowboys because of Mike Zimmer. And Zim had him with the Vikings, obviously. And Kendricks has not done much this week with a calf injury. Nick Vigil, who played for Zim in Minnesota and also played for Paul Gunther in Cincinnati. Vigil had a great game last week. He barely practiced last week with a foot injury. And he started at Mike linebacker and did a really good job. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer to the game. Overshown, we talked about the last show. It's a right ACL injury. Maris Liafo is a draftee of them for the Cowboys. He filled in. Overshown now, this is great. Two years in a row. First 2 years, major knee injuries, man. Let's talk about bad luck. That sucks.
Yeah.
And a guy, Trayvon Diggs is out with another major knee injury. He won't be back to next season. And I'm telling you, Kenny Pickett, you have to assume that the Eagles' offensive line was pissed off at the tape that they watched. You got to think they're going to protect Pickett, assuming he starts. And Amani Oruwariye, who went to Penn State, who had some good snaps for not the Vikings, the Lions early in his career. Then he kind of fell off. He's been with a number of teams. That is the guy. He actually started for them last week on the outside. That is the guy. They're going to go after him. Trust me, folks. That's the guy who Kellen Moore will say, that's him. We're going to go after him.
I think the Cowboys might be the most snake-bitten team at linebacker injury that I've ever seen. Sean Lee, always hurt. Jalen Smith played really well. Then he became victimized by a lot of injuries. And then it was Leighton Vander Esch, always victimized by the neck injury that he have. And now it's Demarion Overshown, who has been injured, especially knee injury. I mean, no matter who they put out, and Kendricks, like you said, no matter who they put out there at linebacker, they always seem to get hurt, and it always holds them back. That's tough.
I give the Cowboys credit, and this is why Jerry Jones keeps hinting that it's Mike McCarthy's going to come back, but he doesn't want to talk about it until they're done playing. Mm-hmm. They were eliminated before last Sunday night's game against the Bucs, and somehow they still won. That's impressive.
Yep.
They've won 4 out of 5, but this is the thing that I cannot understand. I just don't understand. They've lost 7 out of 9 home games, going back to the blowout loss, an embarrassing one against the Packers in the playoffs. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Love tore them apart. They killed them. How do you bring back a coach who can't win at home? That's ridiculous.
That's just one of the issues that Mike McCarthy's had. But yeah, when you lose at home like that, it's really, really bad. The Seahawks have also not been a very good home team this year for who they are.
Terrible.
But at least they have a first-year coach. That's different. I agree with you. It's pretty crazy there how they've been at home this year.
By the way,
just
going to add that Sirianni away. You mentioned for Mike McDonald, who's been better away. He's 5-1. Sirianni's got the second best road record since 2021 on the road. And by the way, the Eagles were really good on the road his rookie season. I don't know what to make of it. The Eagles were 6-3 in Nick's first year. Mm-hmm. They made the playoffs. It's impressive, man, to be able to do that as a rookie head coach. I mean, that's really impressive.
Absolutely. All right, last little item to get here, Adam. I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm sure you have seen that Michael Vick is going to be the head coach at Norfolk State, right? Have you seen the latest former Eagle? I couldn't believe it. Become a head coach.
A prominent NFL agent texted me late Thursday afternoon. I was doing something else.
Uh-huh.
And we both were like, when there were two reports, Pete Thamel, who was confirming a report by a local newspaper, but DJax, Deshaun Jackson is finalizing an agreement to be the Delaware State head coach. By the way, that's where John Taylor, former 49ers receiver, went to.
Yeah. Also, Jamal Jackson, former Eagles.
Yeah, Jamal, our friend Jamal, who has done some work with us. We miss Jamal. We need to have him on our show.
Yeah.
But DJax to be the head coach. He did an on-campus interview per ESPN on recent days, and the sides are expected to come together on agreement in the near future. Per a source, it has always been a dream of Jackson's to coach at a historically black college university. That dream would be reality in the near future. Wow, that's great. Good for DJax. When you're a star player, or a star like Bill Belichick got a big time recruit at quarterback, and you see
he got him to stay. Right, that guy was already going.
Okay.
He was going to decommit, but then Bill got him to stay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, okay, so that's what happened. So the guy didn't leave, but you see what Deion's done. It's cool. I you know what? I'll be honest. It's not too far away from you and I actually might go to a game.
I'm absolutely one. This is crazy for me because I already know the University of Delaware head coach because I covered him when he was in
Casey
school.
Keeler. Yeah.
Right, so now I am no, not Casey Keeler is the Temple coach.
Temple coach. I'm
Delaware
sorry.
coach is Ryan Carty.
Okay.
So now I'm going to be able to say that I have covered the head coaches as players of the two most prominent football schools in the state of Delaware.
I cannot wait to see who his staff is. Will he have?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. It'd be great if it was like a 2000s Eagles thing, right? Like if it's like I don't know, if like LaShawn McCoy is the running backs coach.
Look,
Jeremy Macklin, wide receivers coach.
Oh, Jeremy, isn't Mac is coaching in I think he's a high school coach.
I think he is coaching in high school, so maybe that's the next step. Go coach.
This is gonna be something else. That one, because I wasn't aware of anything with Deshaun, and I was other than he was doing his pod with Shady, and when I got this text out because the guy who texted me, the agent goes, he goes, trust me, this is real. He goes, and I saw the check mark on our Thamel's report on his Twitter. I'm like, wow, this is crazy, man. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go to a game. Why not?
Chip Kelly is his offensive coordinator. No, definitely not.
Oh, you may. Chip said, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but it's a cool story. Good for DJax, man. I wonder how hard he'll coach.
I have a whole lot of wonderment about what kind of coach he's going to be. I'm just, I'm going to be honest with you. And I hope he succeeds. And I think it's a great story, like you're saying. He's one of the guys that I never thought would even want to be coach, right? I never said, Deshaun Jackson, future coach material.
No.
Nor did I think he'd aspire to want to be a coach. So that's cool. Maybe it shows a different side of him that I didn't see when I covered him. And again, I hope he succeeds because I think it would be a great story.
I mean, Deion had not coached until, was it Jackson State he was at first? Was that
Jackson
the first
State?
one?
Yeah.
Right. He had not coached before, and he's terrific. So yeah, you never know. But oh boy, I'm fascinated to see. I'm going to look into his coaching staff. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. And as always, we thank you, and we continue to wish you guys all happy holidays. And thanks for flying with us on Inside the Birds. Be sure to check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation.